Hello, my fellow Americans. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. I got the camera in a little bit tighter today because what I'm going to do is dissect what my Congressman DeFazio, had to say in response to my question yesterday. If you haven't watched my video, The Rumpled One questions his congressman, please do so. It's only a couple minutes long, and then this video will make more sense. Congressman DeFazio, he's a likable fellow. He's a smart guy, too. I've seen him in action. You don't want to go up against him unprepared. So I knew about this meeting for about 2 weeks, his town hall meeting, so I had prepared a couple of questions. But when I got there was a handout. And this was one of the sheets. Historical U.S. top income tax rates. And as you can see, before President Wilson, it was less than 10%. Ever since then, it's never been less than, say, 25%. So that means if you're a top income earner, for every dollar you earn, you've got to give 25 cents to the federal government. So you get to you make 4, you get to keep 3, you got to give up 1. Does that seem fair to you? Now, I posed my question, and if you watch the video, you can hear people laugh. And one of the reasons I'm in tight, hopefully the microphone will pick this up. So I want to play this video and then stop it at different points. So, Congressman, back to this chart over here about the historical U.S. top income tax rates. What is the thinking in Congress that they want to raise the rates? I mean, each person, each taxpayer gets 1 vote. Why should one person be penalized because they make more money? Isn't that like Robin Hood taxation? Okay, you heard people laugh. They only laugh because it's true. It wasn't a joke. It's because it is Robin Hood taxation. If you buy into a condo, and let's say you buy a 1-bedroom unit, and you pay $100,000 for that 1-bedroom unit, your vote counts as 1. But if you buy a 2-bedroom unit, let's say that cost $150,000, then when you vote, your vote counts as 1.5 because you got more money in it than the person in the 1-bedroom. And let's say you bought the 3-bedroom condo for $200,000, and now your vote is 2. So you get twice the voting power than the person with 1 because you put in twice the money. See, I've always been a proponent of 1 head, 1 vote, 1 tax. Not tax rate, but tax. Because, see, we're talking about tax rates here. Now, the funny thing about this chart is this talks about the top income tax rates. Doesn't talk about all income tax rates, just the top. But what it doesn't, he did not have a chart that says how much of the total tax do the top income earners pay. Now, I've seen a chart that says, if I remember correctly, that the top 2% of earners in the United States pay over half the income taxes. And the top 10%, I think, pays 70% of the tax burden. Now, those numbers might be off because I don't have, out here at the ranch, I don't have access online. But what I'll do is probably later, I'll go get those facts and figures and make another video just to update it and give you the link so you can see for yourself. So now let's listen to how the congressman responds, and let's dissect his answers. Piece by piece. Dissection.
Now, the theory is if you earn $1 million a year, you can provide for your family, your kids, and everything you want, and you can afford to pay a little bit more in taxes than someone who earns minimum wage, who can't really provide for their family, their kids, and everything else they need. So we've...
Okay. The theory is if you make $1 million, you can afford to pay more than someone who earns minimum wage. Okay, I'd say that's a true statement. But if the person earning minimum wage, let's say they make, let's see, minimum wage is what, about $8 a year? They make 16,000 a year. Okay, and let's say somebody else makes 160,000. If they were each taxed at 10%, then the minimum wage person would pay 1,600 in taxes, and the person who's making 160,000 would pay 16,000 in taxes. Is that fair? Now, he's already paying more, but what my congressman is proposing, that top income earner should pay closer to 40%. So if he's making 160,000, 40% would be about 64,000, which is approximately 4 times what the other person earns. So think about it. If some guy making 16,000, somebody else making 160. This congressman says this person should pay 64,000 or 4 times what this person earns. Does that make sense to you? Does that seem fair? In what universe is that fair? But let's continue.
We had a tradition of progressive taxation in this country.
A tradition of progressive taxation in this country since the Wilson administration. Well, that's where it all went wrong. Because once again, Wilson, right around 19, what? 14, 17, 18, Wilson. What happened back then, boys and girls? What big event? Oh, World War I. Uh-huh. That's when it all started. What else happened around there? Oh yeah, the Federal Reserve. Uh-huh. You see, this is when the plot thickens. No, we did not have a tradition of progressive taxation. No. This country was founded on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know, we were the land of opportunity, not the land of entitlement, not the land of taxation. In fact, I think that's part of the reason why there was a Declaration of Independence. But let's continue.
Since the Wilson administration. So we've always had graduated tax rates that then compressed. And in fact, if you're lucky enough to inherit money and have unearned income, it's been proposed by Paul Ryan and others that you would pay 0 taxes.
Now, he says that it's a bad thing. If you're lucky enough to inherit money or have unearned income, you should pay 0 taxes. Yeah, that's a good idea. If you inherit money, you probably inherit it from your parents, your relatives. They've already paid taxes. Why should you have to pay taxes again? You see, this is what's wrong with Washington. Is this line of thought, this discourse. It's totally wrong. It's mind-boggling. And you see this, you're getting it firsthand. You're not getting it through the news. This is my congressman, my representative. He's not representing me and my thoughts. Whose thoughts is he representing?
So at some point you have to talk about, is there a collective responsibility?
So at some point you have to talk about, is there a collective responsibility? Let me think. Collective. Doesn't that sound like socialism to you? Let me think about that for a second. Collective responsibility. Is that not socialist? Does that sound like something the communists would say? Collective responsibility. I want you to hold on to that.
And do we all benefit from having law enforcement, police, fire, clean water, transportation system, a Coast Guard, Border Patrol, a military? There's a lot of things.
Okay, do we all benefit from law enforcement? It's a joke, right? Law enforcement? You're kidding me. You're trying to say we do a good job at law enforcement? Police? Please. The response of police? Come on. Fire? Okay, fire, they do a pretty good job, but that's not really at the federal level anyway. Neither is police, to some extent. Clean water? Oh, please. Our streams and rivers are so polluted, you can't drink out of them. That's why us preppers have water filters. Transportation. Oh my God. I've driven, probably this year alone, I've probably been on the highways at least 10,000 miles, if not more. It's a joke. Who gets the contract? Lowest bidder. What do you expect? It's a mess. I mean, you go through these zones, it seems like it takes them forever to fix the highways. I mean, Highway 101 down here almost every other year washes out. Why don't they just fix it right? Be done with it. Coast Guard. I won't even go there. Border Patrol. Our borders are a sieve, Congressman. A freaking sieve. If you've got a country, you should have a border. You should have a fence. You should have a wall. You should have guards there to make sure people don't sneak into the country, don't invade the country. I mean, what if somebody wanted to attack us? All they got to do is go to land in Mexico and come storming through. We got no wall. We got no protection. It's a joke. It is a freaking joke. Military, hey, those boys put their life on the line for stupid stuff. But I won't even go there.
The country has to do to make it safe for Americans.
Make it safe for Americans. What about all the illegals? We don't even need to go there, do we?
And a better quality of life, and they have to pay for it somehow. So no, I got to say we've got to disagree there. And the point in having this chart up here is, some people say, well, the lower tax rates on higher income people will create jobs. Well, ever since we lowered the upper tax rate, we've had pretty miserable job growth.
Congressman, see, here's the thing that really bothers me. Like I said before, DeFazio is no dummy. He is sharp. He is razor sharp. He's a smart man. He speaks well. He's a good presenter. He's no dummy. But I have to ask him, has he been drinking the Obama Kool-Aid? It's a logic fallacy. He's trying to say that since we lowered the rates, we've lost jobs. He's trying to make because of X, Y. No. That's like saying, you know, because the Yankees haven't won the pennant, we've lost jobs. Or because the Cowboys haven't won the Super Bowl, we've lost jobs. There's no one-to-one correlation here. It's a fallacy. It's a logical fallacy. It makes no sense. None at all. We lowered the top tax rates, and that caused jobs to decline? You've got to be freaking kidding me. And he says it with a straight face.
In the Clinton years, when we raised the upper tax rate, we had 3.8% unemployment and paid down debt. So if you're concerned about debt and you're concerned about investment to put people back to work, I would argue that we need to go back to the Clinton era rates on people who earn over $250,000 a year. I'm not talking about the Eisenhower rates at 90%, but we're talking 39.6 under Clinton was the top bracket for people who earn over $250,000 a year. So, yes.
And that's what he wants to argue for? I mean, it's just positively, logically illogical. It's just a fallacy. How he can draw that one-to-one conclusion. It makes no logical sense. But the thing is, you know, like I said, when I'm up here, you hear how quiet it is. You can hear the rain hitting the roof. You can hear birds chirping. You can hear yourself think. And what I realized was this. He's basically proposing the old soak the rich. Divide the people once again. Because nothing he said was uniting of the people. So once again we try and pit the poor and working class against the rich. We all know that doesn't work. But the funny thing is, where does the congressman get his money for campaigning? From the rich. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. So my question is one, he's no dummy, so he knows he can't draw that conclusion logically, so either he's under some delusion or drinking the Obama Kool-Aid, or there's some other agenda that's more diabolical, that he's purposely showing statistics and using charts and graphs to mislead people's thinking. You know, statistics lie. You can show statistics to prove almost anything. The second thing is that, once again, if he's getting most of his campaign contributions from the rich, PACs, super PACs, big corporations, you know, millionaires, and he's proposing to take more money from them via taxes, wouldn't he be kind of biting the hand that feeds? So there must be something else going on. I haven't quite figured that out, other than the fact that he's just playing to the, you know, soak the rich, tax the rich, eat the rich mentality. Maybe that's where he thinks he can get more votes. And then I guess once he gets the votes, and then they can pass these bills with all kind of exemptions and exceptions and you know, loopholes, so that the rich don't really have to pay that much money as a percentage. So maybe it's just one big game, you know, shell game, that they just keep moving these things around, and the rich get richer, and the poor, you know, pay taxes, get babies, grow, you know, grow older and die. But I mean, it's just a sad, sad, sad thing to hear my congressman speak like that. It's what's wrong with Washington. I think he's been in for, since the 80s, so he's been in too many years. But once again, he's a likable fellow. He knows how to shake hands and kiss the babies and do all that and listen. And, you know, he answers people usually in a respectful manner. Doesn't, you know, do any personal attacks. And people vote for him. And this is what happens. You get somebody in Washington doing the same old song and dance. You know, let's eat the rich. Collective responsibility. He's a socialist. There's just no two ways about it. My congressman obviously is a socialist. He ain't getting my vote, never has, for the record. But he still represents me, because I live in his district. So, you see, people, you got to get involved. You got to be there. You got to show up. You got to pay attention. You have to listen. You have to think and ponder. You have to do your own research. And you have to do what it takes to get rid of this mentality. You probably don't want to run for office. You know, probably would never make it to Congress or Senate, but you probably don't even want to go to your local school board or planning department, because you don't want to spend hours talking about dog poo. But if you don't do it, this is what happens. I mean, really. And you know, my tagline has been for decades, wake up America and smell the hypocrisy. But things have gotten worse. In fact, I read this somewhere else, so I can't take credit for this one. It's wake up America, smell the tyranny.